So let's just rock. So just feeling the sacrum, you're just rocking onto one side of the sacrum, lifting the foot, and then it's really how the foot goes down with the toes grabbing into the ground and drawing you into it. So the important thing is just not to straighten the leg when you pick the other leg off the ground. Pull the dantian in. Riding horse. So the feet parallel, outside edges parallel. And just a real sense that your knees are trying to go further than the ankles. Same here, the elbows are really trying to go out in the arms. Just move from leg to leg a little bit. Mindful movement, body awareness. So your mind is really seeing the movement in all its detail. Keep the mind centered in the dantian. So the centrifugal and the centripetal. Even though we're not turning, those forces are always in evidence. So the centripetal is just you drawing your mind back constantly to this inner center called the Dantian. And then the centrifugal is just your willingness just to come out. Those forces need to be balanced. So we need to work a long time on developing this drawing center, this pulling center, before we can venture into the world with any real power. Let's just try breathing from the Dantian, so breathing in and drawing the belly in at the same time. So it's the reverse breathing, and then just letting that out. Breathing in, letting it out. So drawing in, everything's bending, letting out, everything's wanting to straighten. Centripetal, centrifugal. And then just into riding horse. Feel this now, sort of a breathing, pumping center, pulling into itself. And then just turning. And then just letting the arms go. Drawing into your dantian. So that's the centripetal, but relaxing away from the sacrum, so the sacroiliac joints. Two sides of your sacrum, energy is just streaming out into the legs. And then just back. Just try this one. Let the hand scoop down underneath the back foot. Feeling that you're getting behind the leg. Your spine is sinking down behind the leg and getting underneath it. And back to riding horse. The centripetal, the drawing in, is your front. My front is drawing in, and my back is the centrifugal. My back is coming out. getting down into the legs. Now let's just try a bit of the full and empty. Bringing the energy in and then letting it leave. And let it become a meditation. So what I mean by that is your mind is quietening. Getting the back leg involved as well. So as you come into the back leg, the energy comes up. As you come into the front leg, the energy comes up. The energy that comes up, bring it into the opposite hand. So this arm has directed the energy up into this arm. And then this hand scoops from the ground here as I bring my weight into it, and then directs the energy into the opposite hand. The mind is quietly observing and attending. If the mind starts to think to itself, then the body will get tense and then energy cannot flow. When we do the exercise, we visualize a passage of energy. Energy is coming up this leg and into this arm, then up this leg. So we're visualizing the energy that would be flowing if our minds were quiet and our bodies were more relaxed. And then just trying to feel the movement. What instigates the movement as being a yield. I'm going to come into this leg because I've yielded to the ground I'm standing on, or you can think of yielding to the leg. I want this leg to round out. So these are the important points, these pockets in the groin, the hollows where you can feel your arteries, feel the aorta stemming down into the legs. This here is rounding, and that is causing the leg to bend and thereby bring me forwards. And then this pocket here opens, rounds out, and that brings me back. So a softening and accepting. Part of you is going into the center of this hole that you're creating, and another part of you is enveloping it. I'm both the child that's being cradled, and I'm also the mother that's cradling the child. You're both contained and container. So the centripetal, if you like, is the contained, the child at the center. You're fleeing away from the center only to yield, only to reach out and capture by yielding, by making this space that the other can fall into. So here, it really scoops in here. This is the important thing, really. We want to make sure that the Tai Chi that we do is all about yielding. Not just about us. It's about how we relate to the world beyond us. change the feet round, backwards and forwards, just to get this pump established. Something comes up as I come forwards, something flows out. So we're just feeling the front leg to start with, because it's easier if you like. Feel the energy as it escapes. It's going out, but it's wanting to pull and come back in like this. And it's that initiates the return. So that's the container, if you like. You're coming out of yourself to create an enclosed space that's beyond your own body. Bring in the back leg. Something comes up my back leg as I come into it. And then the yielding. It's not simply that my foot is contracting, my foot is pulling. So I don't want the sense that my leg is shrinking. It's not like the tentacle of the octopus in the sense of pulling in like this. You're drawing in by really extending behind. So I've reached out here, and the feeling is that my leg is bending, but it's also lengthening into this scoop. So when it opens here, then you feel it in the arm. So the arm does this, it sort of comes out. The shoulder comes away from the spine, the shoulder blade. And I want to feel that in the lower body as well. So my hip bone tries to come away from the sacroiliac. Just to create a bit of space here. And we just have to feel it in the mind. Part of you that softens and reaches out and accepts in the face of the other. Feel it in the mind, but particularly in the mind that feels the heart mind. So when this opens out here, something opens, the heart opens and draws into itself. Lift the heel very slightly in the leg that's beginning to gather. So that's like the risk you're willing to take. You're willing to sever your own root. feeling these two spaces here. Just the two circles, the yielding circles. I reach out, I draw in, and then I turn it out. It's the same thing here. When I turn here, I'm really creating this circle. So I have to really delay bringing my weight into this leg, otherwise I'll crush it too much. Right at the end of that turn, this turn, I come into this leg. Remember, you get it in the arms so that you can take it down into the legs. I reach out, I join with the person. So I need to get this point where my fingers are pointing at myself. So my hand is now rested on top of their arm. So I've really joined with their attack. And then I just let it go and let the hand twist back. Feeling the space here in the armpit, analogous to the space here in the leg pit. bringing the feet up a bit. Just rocking the tails gently by tilting the hips a little bit. When we work on relaxing the sacrum, the sacroiliacs, the hip joints, and just bringing the quiet mind back to the dantian, then the tail will open up and just want to extend and wriggle free. This is what we're encouraging here. So if I want activity in these parts of my body, the sacrum and the tail, I have to see them as being broken into little connected pieces so that the energy can rattle through. Waving hands in the clouds, but the same thing, my tail is trying to point this way. So the tail has this sense of mischief, so when it gets involved, you'll always be taken by surprise a little bit by what comes out. So just feel it, as soon as you straighten your legs, it's not so much that the tail comes in, it just tightens up. It loses that mobility. I have to keep my legs bent all the time, really. And now just extending the tail in order to lift the other foot. So my tail just makes like a semicircle around the foot, the same way we were semicircling with the knee to open up this space here. I'm circling around the foot with my tail. I'm visualizing the tip of my tail reaching down, going around the foot, and then just lifting this foot. You don't have to bring the whole foot up. You can just lift the heel. So again, you've yielded. I've yielded, but now with my tail to the ground that I'm standing on. I want my tail mind to go down into the ground underneath the foot. So the more small connected pieces you can break into, you can fracture into, the more delicate and sensitive it will feel, the more refined. Refinement is just a matter of breaking into smaller pieces. Trying to keep it relaxed across the sacroiliac. So everywhere we would normally tighten and tense up in order to create stability, to assist my balance, we want to just open all of that up. So it's the flow of this tail energy down that's just maintaining the structure. So if my mind wanders at all, then I'll tend to lose my balance, because that will cause the energy to stop flowing. And then just stepping with it. Down the leg to lift this one. And then I just put the foot out, put it down toes first. So if you put it down toes first, then you can get a sense of yielding as the foot goes down. The heel going down is a soft descent. If I put my heel down first, then there tends to be a bit of a bang, no matter how softly I try to do it. My toes will cushion the descent of the heel. And then I just put the foot down softly, the same way I would have rounded out the knee to produce this yielding, enveloping circle. I use the same thing to extend the tail around. So my tail goes around this foot in order to pick up this foot. And then I can just step back. And then again, I'm making this circle here. So in, around the heel, around the toes with my tail, and then off with the foot. Toes down first, and then it just breaks, it just yields. Something in you just lets go and sinks, and the tail is active, so it comes out and embraces the foot. You really want to just feel the tail, and this hand that's helping the circling, just try and get it as low as possible. at least as low as your knee. Yes, a part of me is turning in order to produce a gathering here, a tightening and a gathering here. Also, part of me has to allow my tail out. So it's almost like I have to stick my bum out a little. So this happens all the time in Tai Chi. There's almost opposite things going on at the same time in different aspects of your body. So here I'm drawing in my belly to create this circle here, but at the same time, I'm allowing my tail down my leg and around the foot. So we just have to somehow get both of those realities involved at the same time. So the feeling is that especially this area here is lots of little pieces that have all found their place because my mind has quietened and just allowed them just to settle into themselves. So what maintains my still body is not the clenching tension that my mind is under to keep my ego together, but this just letting go, the centripetal mind that's just quiet and centered because it just knows that this is its true home, this is where it belongs. So it's very, very difficult, that, because the mind wants to be anywhere but here. It wants to be looking around all the time, especially nowadays with our terribly distracted minds. So meditation is the only way really to just train yourself to naturally come back to this place. This is like your ground zero, but not in a sort of clenching way, just because that's where it wants to be. And then everything around it can just release. And then you get energy, then energy will start moving. Proprioception, body awareness. So if you ask someone, for example, if they're right-handed, if to use the mouse on the computer with their left hand, it's amazing just how difficult it is. Or if you try eating with your left hand, invariably you miss your mouth. Because we just don't have good proprioception. We don't have good body awareness with that side of our body. So I just need to be able to just to be aware of my body and control it so it does what it needs to do. But then we want the proprioception of our thoughts, of our mind. So I just decide, okay, my mind has to be quiet because I'm attending to something. And then it just comes, it's as good as gold. It just comes back to where it needs to be. And then you start to realize what dreadful quality your normal thinking mind is and how you really are polluting your world by keeping this engaged in this endless stream of nonsense. So to be relaxed and spring open, which is what's required if we want to engage with the world, the inner part of me has to be really centered and still, naturally, not because I've forced it. If I've forced it, then I will get tense. It has to be a natural coming to center, coming home. Feet together. So the legs appear straight, but they're definitely not. Real sense that your tail is trying to extend down in the same way that the top of your head is trying to extend upwards. So especially in the mid-back, there should be a feeling of lengthening and stretching. But use this prayer posture to emphasize the thymus. A mudra that I use when I work on this center is this. Thumbs just come inside between the index and the middle fingers. You're trying to keep the fingers straight. And then it's like a little house that can start to contain this thymus energy. And then just bring it down to the Dan Chan.